It is time. We are back, baby. Season 3. Let's go. Socials, Facebook, the Gram, X, Twitter. What are we calling it? X, I guess. You know it as Twitter. The artist formerly known as Twitter. Follow us all there. You can follow us individually. You can see my X. That's going to get some taking used to. At X, at AJ Brawl. I'm also that on Instagram, but if I don't know you on Instagram, sorry, that's for me. Tables next to me this way. Sorry, it's been a minute. Tables is here. Ruspin. Also, this is a bit of breaking news. He was unable to make it tonight, but Alec is back and better than ever. He will be back next week. Programming update. Next week, we are doing NFC over-unders. And today, if you follow us on socials, AFC over-unders. We have no time to waste. We're not even going to talk preseason. We're not doing anything. We're getting right into the fun stuff. So, over-unders, if you don't know and aren't an avid gambler like myself, over-unders, Vegas, or whatever sports book you use, comes out with win totals for the year. Usually it's 9.5, 10.5, what have you. And are they going to win more or less than the projected number? You win money. So that's what we're doing today. And let's waste no more time. We're going to start, if I can find my banner. Sorry, folks, it's been a minute since we've done this. We're going to start in Cincinnati. Starting in the AFC North, starting with the champs of the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this offseason, they added the likes of tackle Orlando Brown, Irv Smith, tight end, cornerback Sidney Jones, and some others, but no need. They did lose Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Hayden Hurst, Eli Apple, and Samaje Perine. So, the question is, can they win 12 games to hit the over? Last year, 12-4. So, and the DeMar Hamlin game got canceled. Otherwise, it would have been either 13-4 or 12-5 or what have you. But, Dustin, I'm going to let you start with this one. Cincinnati, over or under 11.5 wins?
Under.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Care to elaborate?
I think they got worse, like you said, with Von Bell and Jesse Bates gone. I mean, probably their two best defensive players right there are off their team. So their team did not get better, to be fair. They got worse. So I don't see how they win more games or equal.
And actually, I was just ribbing you a little bit because I also have the under. I went through the schedules of all these teams beforehand, and I got to 11. And 11 seems to be all right, but shaky offensive line play. Joe Burrow's already banged up now. They say he'll be fine, but already injury concerns. I mean, we know how talented that offense is. I don't think that's going to be a problem. But defensively, yeah, you lost 2 starting safeties. I mean, Hayden Hurst, they also lost. Okay, it's a weapon. I don't know that's going to affect them all that much because they got enough firepower elsewhere. Joe Mixon, some off the field stuff too. So we'll see. I also have the under, but I think it's going to be close to that number. I think 11.5 is a solid betting number. I would say 11, 10, 11, and that's still a good season. But I'm with you. I got the under on Cincinnati. We both do. Oh, I should mention before, and you want something to mention too. Let's start with you because I have a part of the game we're playing.
Okay, and I will say, I think people kind of underestimate how much of an impact Samaje Perine had on that Cincinnati offense. Like, just kind of coming in when Mixon needed a break. I mean, he was productive when he was in, to be fair. Like, when he was in, he was productive. And I think just having him as that, like, kind of scat back and just kind of utility guy, he was really useful, in my opinion.
Yes and no. I don't know what his efficiency numbers are, and I could have looked those up. I think Chris Evans is fine in a secondary role. Joe Mixon's playing first through third down. So I don't know that. I mean, obviously depth matters, but I think Chris Evans is fine. And I know they have some other guys that I can't think of off the top of my head. So yes and no, but I think Chris Evans is fine. I don't think Perine's that much of a hit for them. I've never been a Perine guy, and maybe that's just because I've been burned in fantasy football by him several times. But honestly, Chris Evans is fine to me. Captain America. And I should mention while we play our little over-under game, each of us has the ability to lock up 3. So if I have one that I cannot wait for in the AFC West. I am locking it in for sure. And when we lock it in, you will hear this lovely little sound. If I can find it, or if it wants to play.
Lock it up!
Means we locked it in. That is one of our 3 locks. We don't have to use all 3, but we have 3 to play with. So, moving on. Let's go south of Cincinnati, Cleveland, Ohio, home of the Browns. The Browns, well, they have their quarterback situation, and I'm not real sure how to talk about that. But let's go over some of the people they added. Dalvin Tomlinson, defensive lineman. Jacoby Brissett, which I think is going to be helpful. Let's see. Rodney McLeod, safety. And then a couple guys that aren't necessarily going to matter long term. They did, however, lose Jadeveon Clowney, Kareem Hunt, and Taven Bryan, who I've never heard of before. So that's not a huge loss. But they did lose Kareem Hunt and Jadeveon Clowney, both key pieces. Their over-under right now is sitting at 8.5. Last year, they won 7. So you figure with improved quarterback play from Deshaun Watson, so they'd have to win 2 more games. I will start this one. I have them under. I just don't know how much I want to believe in them. And maybe that's just me being biased because I can't root for them. But also, I just don't think... I think Pittsburgh is going to be better. We'll talk about them in a minute. I think Baltimore is going to be better. Well, okay. Those aren't easy games. So you're looking... I don't know how much I believe in Deshaun Watson. Reports out of camp are that he's doing well. I can't do it. I couldn't get... They have to win 9 games? I don't see it. I have them under, and I'm debating locking it in, but I haven't decided yet.
Excuse me, I was burping, so I was muted for a second there.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Content.
I'm going to go with the under as well. I agree with you. I think just with all the drama revolved around the team, and especially the struggles last year, it's pretty evident that there are a lot of problems offensively, and nothing clicked for them. Like they have, like Amari Cooper, obviously he's still, in my opinion, a top 10 receiver in the league every year just because he's so consistent. He's just a reliable guy. But like David Njoku, I mean, everyone's saying he's gonna have a breakout year, but they've been saying that for 3 years now that he's gonna have a breakout and he's gonna do all this and just haven't seen it. And their offensive line's kind of getting older, so they're gonna start dealing with injuries and having problems with their offensive line. And how good is Chubb gonna be without a good offensive line? Like I'm sure Chubb will still be good.
Yeah,
hi cat.
That's a cat, but also content.
Yeah, obviously Chubb is going to be good regardless what all line he has. I think just because he's a freak of nature.
Right.
Dude squats like 750 pounds 6 times, which is just unbelievable. I don't think people understand how difficult that is. But yeah, so long story short, I'd say under. I'd say they win 7 games this year, realistically.
Oh. Yeah, if they are the same as what they were last year, which is 7-10, that makes sense. I'm not going to lie. I'm distracted by the parrot that you now have. She just perched up there and we're rolling. Also, if you're listening to audio, Dustin's cat just crawled up on his shoulder and is literally sitting there like a parrot. And now she's clawing him. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to use one of my locks here. I think I'm going to, and I got to find the sound for it too. I think I'm going to lock up Cleveland under.
Lock it up!
I just don't know that they can get to 9. I just think their division is that much better. And speaking of, let's go to one of those more improved teams, the Baltimore Ravens, whose over-under currently is sitting at 8.5. Again, you're telling me that Baltimore and Cleveland have the same? That's strike one to me. Also, this Ravens offense, not only, so obviously Lamar is now paid and happy. That's a win. They bring in Odell Beckham, whatever he's got left. They bring in Nelson Aguilar. And they're getting Rashad Bateman back, who's currently hurt. But they're getting him back and healthy. And Mark Andrews, obviously, we know what he is. The running game, at this point, I don't know that it matters. J.K. Dobbins hasn't been healthy ever. The Gus Bus is also coming off an injury. So the running game might be a question mark. Defensively, I just think they're solid. They always are. Although Marlon Humphreys did get hurt today, if that's significant, that's gonna hurt. But they're always solid defensively. It doesn't really matter who they throw out there. That's just kind of the Baltimore way. So I thought last year they went 10-7 with Tyler Huntley. One more time, they went 10-7 with Tyler Huntley. So this is an 8.5. This is an easy one over for me.
Yeah, I can't really argue there. I think they're gonna go over. As much as I'm not a big fan of quarterbacks like running a lot, getting hurt because like what I said last year with Lamar, when you start getting these quarterbacks getting hit a lot, they start getting hurt. Crazy things happen. Their ankles get twisted, just like Lamar. Just easy stuff. That's why I don't like seeing the offense, just because after time it's not productive. But Lamar's young enough now where it's going to work. I think down the road, but I think this next year they're still going to be pretty good.
Well, and I mean, Tyler Huntley, apparently Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley, I should say, if he's your number 2, I still think they can easily get, if things go haywire. Say Odell quite isn't what he was, Lamar still a little banged up and tweaked. They did a lot more with a lot less last year. You know what? Actually, I've been debating what one I wanted to use my third lock on. Oh, you know what? No, I'm going to save it. I have another one that I'm going to lock up that I'm pretty confident in, and that it's going to come off probably the wrong way. But yeah, so I got over. What did you say for? I'm trying to track this. So you got Baltimore
Over.
Got it. Trying to track it. So then at the end of the year, we'll see who comes out on top. Or maybe so far, I think we've agreed on all of them. And let's see if we agree on this one. We go to Pittsburgh, the Steelers. They last year went 9-8. Their current over/under win total is sitting at 8.5. So let's see. They added this year. This one surprised me. They added Allen Robinson. I didn't even know he was still in the league. They added some offensive linemen, Keanu Neal, Patrick Peterson, who, I mean, pretty dusty at this point, but
I'll
still
say
getting it done.
the skeleton of Patrick Peterson at this point.
Yeah, he's not quite the guy he was. And then as far as what they lost Devin Bush, Terrell Edmonds. Nothing they can't overcome. Here's a fun fact. Mike Tomlin, in his entire head coaching career, has not been under 500 once. Well, if they win 8 games, they would be under 500. And last year, they barely got there. They squeaked to that number, but they got to 9-8. For me, this one's until he does something that proves this wrong, they're not going under 500. Give me the over here. Barely, but give me the over. Oh, and I should mention, I just think they're improved overall.
See, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to go under.
Ooh, our first disagreement.
And honestly, I'm going to lock it in. I'm pretty confident.
Really?
I don't think they get 9 wins. I really don't. I just don't see the path. Their division is super difficult between Baltimore, Cincy, and then obviously Cleveland not being very good. But I still think Cleveland has a better roster than Pittsburgh. So you got to go through those guys. I mean, look, I can understand where the TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, like I get the defense, like the defensive line is solid. Don't get me wrong, but the problem is, I mean, let's be honest, their secondary is not good. It hasn't been very good for a while. I mean, they don't really have anybody.
I mean,
who do they got?
Joey Porter Jr., rookie, and rookies typically suck. Solid, talented. Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson, for whatever you think there. Keanu, they're adding to it. So, yes, they recognize it's a weakness. However, if you tell me up and down which roster I'd rather have on paper, I think Kenny Pickett takes a bit of a step forward. I like their offense better, Najee Harris. Defensively, you could tell me they're about even, but I like Pittsburgh a little bit more.
It's a gimme though, because like you can go with Cleveland, like
gimme.
Myles Garrett is pretty much TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward. He has everything that those two do together.
Fair, but
Myles
there's 2
does
of them
everything.
versus 1 of him.
Well, I mean, you only need one Myles Garrett because he takes up 3 guys. People want to have to triple team him because he's so good. That's my point. Like, Myles Garrett is such a disruptor on defense that it's hard to game plan for a guy like him because he can do everything. He can bull rush. He can speed rush. Like him alone makes that defense good. Without him, that defense is horrendous.
All right, we're gonna disagree on this one, and I'm
Hey,
excited.
yeah, I'm locking Pittsburgh in under.
That's surprising. So, what do you think they win? How many games do you think they win? The number's 8.5.
I think they win 7.
Oh, so not even like it's gonna be close. 8. They're gonna get. You're thinking they're okay. All right.
I think 7's realistic because I'm guessing somebody's gonna get hurt on that team because it's an older team. It's kind of an older roster, even though they got rid of Big Ben. It's still kind of older. Like their offense line, I don't even remember who's on there. Some of the guys have came and gone from that team.
We shall see. I disagree, but that's what makes America great. We can disagree, but have a conversation about it, or yell at each other on Twitter anonymously. Let's move on without getting into all of that. We're moving to South now. The AFC South, the worst division in all of football forever and ever. I believe this is also the 7th layer of hell, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll start in Indianapolis, which seems to be going through their own sorts of hell right now with all the Jonathan Taylor contract disputes. Their number is at 6.5. Last year, 4-12. 6.5 is their number this year. So they drafted Anthony Richardson. Okay. I'm not sure where that number comes from, and I almost thought about locking this one in. I got the under here. They really didn't add any. They added Isaiah McKenzie and Gardner Minshew. Okay. They lost Yannick Ngakoue. For whatever you think, he's still an effective pass rusher. He's now with the Bears. Paris Campbell, all right. Rodney McLeod, okay. I mean, they didn't really gain anybody. They didn't really lose anybody of significance. I guess Isaiah McKenzie was solid for Buffalo. And actually, I believe he was in New York, unless I'm thinking of somebody else. Gardner Minshew, okay. I'm a Minshew mania guy, I suppose. As a backup, that's nice, but they already said they're going with Richardson to start. So I got this under. I mean, it's one preseason game. It's a small sample. However, I mean, to count on a rookie to come in and win 7 games, especially with this garbage roster, with now your star on offense is now angry. Quentin Nelson on the offensive line, who was a star, was not good at all last year. He was the anchor of that group. Give me the under here. I don't really have to think twice about it. 7 is a big number for a first-year quarterback. Under. Borderline lock.
I'm honestly shocked it's 7. I thought it would have been like 5, if I'm being honest. This is
Right.
under. Lock it in. That's way too high for this team.
Yeah.
They got way too high expectations. I think the biggest mistake they could have made was start Richardson year 1. You brought in Minshew for what? Like
to be a backup, apparently.
Yeah, if that's their plan, why don't you just get whoever just to one plays? That doesn't make sense. They spent all the money on Minshew, who, whether you like him or not, even at Philly when he was there for that year, when he came in, he still played okay. I mean, he got the job done for the most part. He's not going to go get you the wild card, but he'll win you some games and he'll have a productive season to rebuild a little bit and to kind of.
He'll be fine.
But
just fine.
I don't get it. I don't get it. They knew Richardson was a project, and then they're just going to throw him in and be like, here you go, feed to the wolves. What are you doing?
Sure, there's some value to it, to just throw your rookie in. By all accounts, he's got the athleticism to hang. But 7 wins? So you're telling me they go 7-10 this year, after they only won 4 last year and really didn't make any significant upgrades. Except your quarterback, who you could probably argue is going to be worse than what Matt Ryan was last year, even though Matt Ryan was essentially a corpse. I mean, yeah, I borderline locked this one up, but I have another one. But I don't blame you for locking that one up.
It was hard not to even, because I wasn't even thinking about doing this division just because it's so up and down. But yeah, Indy, it's no brainer. We're going to talk about them in a second, but even Houston, Houston's not going to be great by any means, but they'll probably be somewhat improved. I would imagine they win more than 3 games this year, maybe 4, but it just, I don't like it. I don't think they're that much different than Houston at this point. So yeah,
under there. Let's move to the champs of the division, the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Trevor Lawrence and company. This past season, they brought back Evan Ingram, which for them is going to be massive. Dearness Johnson, running back, backup, not a huge thing. Added a couple offensive linemen. They did lose Marvin Jones Jr., who goes back to Detroit. Dwayne Smoot, edge rusher, they lost. Juwan Taylor, their tackle, went to Kansas City. So those are their massive losses. Well, massive losses. But, and this isn't in their free agent signing, but they're also getting Calvin Ridley back. So, all that said, obviously they came out of nowhere last year. They won their division at 9-8. Last year they won 9 games, okay? Can they win one more this year? This team is better. They have more weapons offensively. Another year of Trevor Lawrence getting experience under his belt. Defensively, I would imagine they'll be competitive. I don't know what the projections are in Pro Football Focus. I don't have the subscription and I'm not paying for it. So I don't know exactly what they're saying about the Jacksonville defense, but 9.5, that seems like a solid number. I'm going to lean slight over. They might be 10 because their division is so terrible. Because honestly, let's go through it. Against Indy, they can win both of those games. Houston, they can win both those games. So there's 4. They'll probably split with Tennessee. So there's 5 right there. So then they have to win 5 more games. They can do that, I would imagine. So give me the over for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the over as well. Not to just keep agreeing with you, but I think it'll be close. I think 10 is pretty realistic. I think
that's a
like
solid
you said,
number.
Their roster didn't really change. Trevor Lawrence getting a little better. They got a couple young pieces on defense that I think could keep improving, like Javon Walker. I think he's still got a lot of talent. Where if he keeps
You mean
developing,
Trayvon Walker? Javon Walker was a
Thank
receiver.
Thank you. Sorry, it's been a very long day.
It's okay. We're powering through.
Trevon Walker. Thank you. Former number 1 pick. But anyways, going with that.
Are you talking about Javon Walker?
Trayvon Walker was a number 1 pick.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No, I'm
I was
confused.
gonna say, oh my god, I just fumbled twice in a row.
No. You said number 1 pick, and I was like, well, he was the number 1 pick for the Packers years ago. Anyway, continue with the Jags thoughts.
Damn it, let me speak.
I'm sorry.
No, anyways, I think he'll keep progressing. Defense will be kind of mediocre. I think that's what kind of loses them games, but yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I don't really have much else to say on the Jags. So let's go to next up, that other terrible team we were talking about just a few minutes ago. Houston, their over-under number is 5.5. Oh boy. Well, so they're bringing in C.J. Stroud to replace Davis Mills. They also came out and said that he will be starting week 1. They signed the likes of, and actually they had a very busy offseason, so I'm going to go through some of these. They added Dalton Schultz, Jimmy Ward, Shaq Griffin, the corner, Robert Woods, Noah Brown, wide receiver, Michael Dieter, offensive lineman, Case Keenum, quarterback, Chase Vinovich, edge rusher, Corey Littleton, the linebacker, and they only lost 2 edge rushers I guarantee no one in this stream has heard of. So they added a lot. You could talk me into the over. That said, I get it. They're improved. They added some guys. But Dalton Schultz, is he a game breaker? No. Robert Woods? No. Even at Robert Woods' best, he was never a game breaker. I don't see him. I see him making an impact, but is he going to make that much more of an impact than Brandon Cooks did, who's now in Dallas? I would say no. They're better, but they won 3 games last year, so they would have to double their win total to hit this over. I don't see that big of an improvement. I'm going to take the under here. They might win 5. They might luck their way into 5. Cool. But to double their win total from last year, and normally there's always one team that comes out of nowhere and last to first. There's normally one every year. I just don't think it's Houston. I think they're probably better than Indianapolis, but not by much. So I'm going to go under here, and I'm not really going to think twice about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's an under. I would almost be tempted to lock it in, but I'm not gonna because I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah,
But
you have
yeah,
one
because I
lock
got
left.
yeah, that's why I'm holding on to it a little bit. Yeah, I think 4 or 5 games is realistic. I think they could be a little bit better than what they were last year, but not a huge improvement.
Yeah. And I mean that's enough Houston Texans talk, I would think. Let's move to Tennessee. The Titans last year went 7-10. This year they added DeAndre Hopkins. That was their big offseason addition to that receiver room, which they desperately needed. Their number this year 7.5. So essentially they have to win one more game than they did last year. I'm gonna say over. I think Mike Vrabel is one of the better coaches in the NFL that nobody talks about. I think that defense is always solid. Offensively, I think the fact they won 7 games with that dog water receiver room. Well, you just added one of the best in the game. Now he's on the other side of the hill. I'll grant you that. But I do think there's an improvement to win one more game. I'm cool with that. I think Tennessee and Houston, they can beat up on them again. And they split with Jacksonville. So again, for them, that's 5. So you're telling me they basically have to win 2 more games. Or I'm sorry, 3 more games. Cool. That's doable. So I got the over here. Maybe it's 8-9. Maybe it's 9-8. I got the over. Tennessee. Not gonna lock it in, but I had a moment. It's just a glancing moment where I was like, that seems pretty realistic, but couldn't quite pull the trigger. But yes, give me the over for the Titans.
Yeah, this is actually a close one. I'm gonna disagree with you here. I'm gonna go under. I think it's close. I mean, it's really close. I want to say the over, and you could probably convince me into it, but I just think it's under. I mean, yeah, they got DeAndre Hopkins, which that's an improvement from what they had, very big improvement. But I don't know if I believe in the system with Ryan Tannehill at the moment. I
Well, that's
haven't
true.
I haven't seen what they were since they made it all the way to they made it to the conference championship that one year, right? I think it was the conference.
Uh no, I think they made the divisional and they had a first round bye and they ended up losing. That was the same year the Packers lost in the first round at home to San Francisco. It was that same year.
Well, anyways, they haven't
They
been
were
the
they
same
were the
since
one
that.
seed and got blown out at home. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been the same since the playoff push they had that one year.
Yep.
They just really haven't been the same. So I'm gonna go under.
All right. All right. So now we move on to the AFC East. Buffalo last year 13-3. This year their number is 10.5. I really went back and forth on this. I'm going to go over, but I think it's 11. I think it's a barely over because I think their division is improved. They probably split with most of the teams in their division. Whereas, okay, the Jets, that was easy beaten up last year. New England, pretty easy beaten up last year. Well, not the case so much anymore. So I have the over here. I don't love it, but I think Buffalo gets to 11.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they're over. I think they get 11. Yeah, like you said, there's gonna be a lot of tough games in that division, and that's really what's gonna make or break that over is if they win some of those tough games. I mean,
Yep.
their offense is good enough to keep up with any other offense, but it's just the question if their defense could kind of stick with them and help them out.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they have some drama too. So you could tell me that they hit the under, and I'm fine with that. That wouldn't hurt my feelings. The Stephon Diggs thing is odd to me. It's almost they're spinning it to he cares too much, but there's definitely some tension and drama there. I mean, there's a lot of talent on that offense. Dalton Kincaid, who I loved in the draft, and if you watched our live draft show, you know that I loved him and wanted the Packers to take him at 13 or 15. No, 13. That's right. They traded the whole Aaron Rodgers trade. Um, yeah, they have the talent to do it. They did lose Jordan Poyer, believe, if I remember that right. Um, yeah, we don't have to spend any more time on that. Yeah, you can convince me of the under there too. I think it's gonna be tight because of these guys. The Miami Dolphins, their big offseason acquisition is currently injured and probably out till December. Jalen Ramsey. However, last year they went 9-8. They're over under this year 9.5. It pained me to do this because I really like that Miami roster a lot. I think it's an under here, and I think they basically repeat last year's record, 9-8. And kind of the same case for Buffalo. Offense, especially, wickedly talented. Defense, They lost Byron Jones. They don't have Jalen Ramsey for the first 3 months. It's going to be tougher to overcome. Xavier Howard is still great. Not quite as great as he was. That defensive line, though, is pretty solid. Offensively, I worry about that offensive line. And obviously, if Tua gets hurt, then this is an easy under for sure. Because Mike White is now their backup. So I'm going under. It's slight. But I feel pretty solid about them just going at 9-8 again. Because I think that division is just that much tougher.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's under. I think they're right around that 500 team, like you said, the 9-8, 8-9. They're like right in that area. I don't think they didn't really improve much, and they didn't get a lot worse. It's right there.
Well, I think they would have, but the injury bugs already hit them. And also, the thing that hurts them is they play the NFC East this year. That's their NFC games. So they got to play Dallas, which we'll talk about Dallas next week when we do the NFC over-unders. It's not going to be the easiest game. The Eagles, at this point, spoiler alert, I think they're probably winning it all this year. Their roster top to bottom is just incredible. And then Giants, they're not going to be as super easy. You probably get that win. And then who the hell knows what's going on in Washington. So, yeah, I think their schedule is a little tough just between their division games. But then you throw the NFC East in. That's kind of just a bad luck draw. So, yeah, we are both there on the under. New England, the Patriots. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead of myself. We actually have the New York Jets, adding basically the entire Green Bay Packer roster, including quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Last year went 7-10 with Zach Wilson at the helm. 9.5 is the number this year. Oh, I am so happy. This is a lock for me.
Lock it up!
Under. The first 5 games of their schedule are absolutely brutal. Just brutal.
Lock it up!
I'm going to keep playing that because I'm locking this up. They won 7 games. Okay. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers against Bill Belichick, not really that great. There was one game at Lambeau in December that he ended up winning. But otherwise, historically, not great against Bill Belichick defenses. Okay? Buffalo. Well, that rivalry is now juiced. And that's going to be fun. But those aren't going to be tough games. At best case scenario, you split. Miami, he never plays well in Florida. So we already know that. So best case scenario, that's a split. That defense is great. Don't get me wrong. But the Jets to win 10 games, no shot. They're right probably around 9 on the high end. And I know people are going to go nuts. Oh, well, Aaron Rodgers and this Jets. No. Stop yourself. Aaron Rodgers was not great last year. Is he an improvement over Zach Wilson? Absolutely. But people forget Aaron Rodgers was average, mediocre last year. He wasn't as good as everyone thinks. And I know it's a name, and I know it's New York, and I know ESPN would love to gush all over themselves. Stop yourself. This team is not winning double-digit games, which they would have to do to hit this. They're winning 9 games. I'll give them that, but it's an under. Lock it in. No question about it.
Lock it up!
You had a barn burner there. I don't know how to.
I was
come back to
passionate
that
about
one.
this one. I was so I have been waiting on this take for months. They're talented. They just added Dalvin Cook. Fine. Garrett Wilson. Cool. Who's your number 2? It just
Alan Lazard, and then they have Randall Cobb.
Cool. Guess
and then
what?
they got Malik Taylor, and then
cool. You know what? Last year I was over the Alan Lazard experience. Last year I was over the Randall Cobb experience. Cool. You're not winning 10 games. You might make the playoffs as a wild card. You're not winning 10 games. Boom. Mic drop.
We didn't talk about it, but when I watched the Hard Knocks, when I was asking you about it, I watched the first episode and I couldn't watch anymore because the amount of times I heard Aaron Rodgers in the first episode, dude, I swear to God, it was 100 times. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, let's stop already.
Yeah, and the thing is these Jets players are in awe of him, which I get. It's cool. You're playing with the future Hall of Famer. I get all that. But guess what? The future Hall of Famer's freaking 40. He's old. Tom Brady's the only one that's ever done it at 40 plus. He's old. That's fine. You can laugh at me all you want. I am so passionate about this. Lock this up. Bet the house. Bet the farm. If I could find something disgusting to eat, I would. If they hit 10 wins, it's not happening. If I knew how to grill up like turkey testicles or some sort of delicacy like that, I would eat it live on air. It's not happening.
Bravo, Al. Bravo. That was nice.
Thank you.
No, I'm right with you. I think they're under. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers was very average last year. Even if he does improve, I mean, you can argue they have some weapons. Like, yes, they have Garrett Wilson. Yes, they have Breece Hall. He looked pretty good. And now they have Dalvin Cook.
Timeshare.
He is a timeshare, but he's still Dalvin Cook.
On a timeshare.
Timeshare. But again, the biggest thing I've said for probably 2 years now with the Jets, and I will keep saying it, is who the hell is blocking for Aaron Rodgers and the running backs?
There are already reports that they're trying to trade for David Bakhtiari. You got any more than first rounders? No, we took them all already.
Yep, exactly. So, pretty much they have that. I don't even know the big left tackle anymore. Mekhi Becton or Becton.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah, he's hurt every other year, and then the Jets fans go crazy about it because, oh my God, he's so big, he's so good. Well, he's hurt every other freaking game. Like,
Correct.
It doesn't matter how big or how good he is if he's not on the field. I don't again. Same with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's hurt every other year, and then even if he's not actually hurt and he's still playing, he's like, ooh, my shoulder hurts. Ooh, my shoulder. Well,
He's just been banged up. You know why? Because he's 40. That's any 40-year-old you ever talk to. They get out of bed and their knees creak. He's old. He doesn't want to get hit anymore. Guess what? Your offensive line sucks. He's going to get hit. He's going to be miserable. Oh, I'm so excited for the year. Of course you are. Anytime anyone's got a new job, they're excited. And then you get hit 5 times by, let's say, Matthew Judon, and you're not as excited anymore.
I could go on all day with this.
I know, you could keep milking this, and I would just keep getting impassioned. Look, I'm sad he left. Let's just call this what it is. I'm sad he left. But again, in that division, in this conference, they have to play the Eagles, the Cowboys, outside of their conference. It's not going to be easy. 10 wins? Holy smokes. That's a lot. That's a lot of wins for anybody to win double digits. I don't see it. Even though that defense is fantastic.
I don't know. I don't even say fantastic because they've been pretty streaky. I mean, let's be honest.
They're
I don't
top
think
5.
I don't think Sauce Gardner can repeat what he did last year. That's pretty insane than what he did. I think that was kind of a fluke, if I'm being completely honest. I think it was a little bit of a fluke.
I disagree, but let's continue the conversation. We won't get stuck up on any more Jets things because I know we have to move on at some point here. Maybe there's some regression, but he's still incredible. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not good, but I'm saying what he did last year, obviously, pretty much loading up. I think he led 0 touchdowns the whole season. It's not going to happen again because he's going to run into better receivers. I mean, it's not going to happen. So yeah, there's going to be a regression. That's what I mean. It was a little bit of a fluke with him. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think he's going to be at he's not going to obviously he's going to have touchdowns. I think if there's going to be a regression season, it's going to be this season for him.
Perhaps. And okay, so even if that's the case, I don't necessarily, but I guess fluke is a strong word for me. But regardless, we don't have to get caught up on semantics. Even if he's a touch worse, he's still a top 3 corner. So, but we got to move on here. We just spent 10 minutes on the Jets. We got to move on before my voice box blows out. The Patriots. New England last year went 8-9. And that was with a pretty terrible offensive situation with Matt Patricia, who is gonzo. They brought in Bill O'Brien, who was at Alabama when a certain quarterback named Mac Jones was there. 7.5 is the number. They won 8 last year. I don't think they're necessarily worse. If anything, Mac Jones should be a little closer to what he was his rookie year. So basically, they just have to repeat what they did last year. And last year, I believe they were worse. This year, slightly better, at least a better situation chemistry-wise. I got the over here. Not a lock, But I do think that defense is super talented. And obviously, we know Belichick defenses are always awesome, or for the most part, awesome. Better offensive situation. Give me the over here. I think they can go 8-9 again, maybe even a little better. You are muted, my good sir.
Son of a gun, Hey, content right there. I was talking,
Content!
I saw right when you said I saw the mic muted. I'm like, son of a gun, man. Son of a gun. Alrighty, content. But yeah,
Content!
I'm over. I'm not gonna elaborate because he hit everything I was gonna say. So let's move on.
All right, cool. And our final division, the AFC West. We'll start with Denver. Last year, we all remember Nathaniel Hackett being a head coach. Did not go well. Last year, they were 5-12, 8.5. So you're saying that Sean Payton is worth 4 more wins. I call BS. Look, they might be improved, but Russell Wilson, according to reports early in camp, kind of struggling. And it sounds like in the first preseason game, I did not watch it, but apparently Sean Payton said, you will keep playing until we see some progress. That's not a good sign. So 5-12 last year, you're telling me they're going to jump to 9-8 this year? No shot. Thought about this for a lock, but obviously my Jets rant confirmed that I was more leaning towards the Jets lock. So yeah, Denver under here, and I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Let's ride.
I'll give them the under, and I can't tell you how much I'm happy to say this is a lock for me because
Wow.
their team is absolute, and I'm going to meet myself with it, dog. They're absolute dog.
I don't have a bleep sound, but I do have this sound.
Lock it out!
Yeah.
They are terrible. Like, the team is terrible. With Russell Wilson, after seeing it last year, I will never be more confident in this and saying this team sucks. This team is terrible. You can bring Sean Payton out of retirement all you want. Even then, he still couldn't bring Drew Brees to a second Super Bowl. And then, I mean, we can go into the year with the Rams and the PI, and maybe they should have got a second one. Whatever. Yeah, we can. Sure. I'll give them that. But beyond that, he got one Super Bowl off of kind of just a miracle season where Baxter is going crazy and my cat.
Someone must be walking by my house because my dog is a psycho. Oh, and there's a cattail. All the animals showing up.
Oh, she's kicking. Okay, content. No, she's climbing up. Content.
Yeah, I'm with you though, and I'm looking at their off-season additions. They added tackle Mike McGlinchey. Okay, and Ben Powers guard. Okay, I'm not even sure I know who that is. They added Samaje Perine from Cincinnati. Okay, but Javonte Williams will be back. It sounds like already, which is incredible. They added cornerback Kyle Fuller. Okay, and their big loss. Dalton Reisner, guard, but he was kind of a bust. I remember him coming out of college. That was a big deal. Billy Turner's a Jet because former Packers be packing. Yeah, they didn't really add anything. Their draft class, they traded all their picks for Russell Wilson, so it was Marvin Mims and some other guys. 4 wins, that's quite the turnaround. And I know someone's got to do it because there's always one, but I don't.
Gonna be the Denver. It ain't gonna be Denver.
I don't see it. I don't see the path. I don't get it. So we're both on the under there. Let's go to Los Angeles. Go Chargers. Go. And the Chargers last year went 10-7. And that was with a banged up Justin Herbert. 9.5 is the number this year. And honestly, if everyone stays healthy, should be in pretty good shape, I believe. They did lose Kyle Van Noy, edge rusher, Bryce Callahan, Nasir Adderley. Those are 3 names that you'd like to have on your team, but they're not going to make or break you. They didn't really add anybody. They did add linebacker Eric Kendricks from Minnesota. Cool, nothing spectacular. Their rookie class, Darius Davis, TCU, Quentin Johnson, both wide receivers from TCU. Okay. Max Dugan, my guy, culture guy. Also, TCU, they really love those Horned Frogs this year. I don't see them being worse than they were last year, especially with Denver. Sorry, I got lost in my notes. Also, I'm not sure what the cat's doing to you, but I
Don't
got
you
lost in my
worry.
notes because I thought maybe I locked this one up, but I did not. I still have my one lock left, and that's coming up very quickly. But yeah, Chargers, I don't think they're any worse than they were last year. Herbert's healthy. He's got even more weapons this year. Defensively, that's where my concerns lie, but I don't see them being worse than last year. So give me the over here. I think they can go 10-7 again.
I'm going to say over and not even elaborate because you hit everything.
All right, moving on. We go to Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champions. And their over-under this year is 11.5. Last year, they won 14 games. As far as their offseason additions go, nothing crazy. Jawan Taylor, Donovan Smith, so they got a couple tackles, which they've been trying to shore up that offensive line for a while. They did so last year, too. They did lose Orlando Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, who's in New England, Juan Thornhill, Mecole Hardman, and Frank Clark. So they did lose some dudes, which you normally do after the Super Bowl. But they brought back Jerick McKinnon, Drew Tranquil. Like, they have some dudes. Their draft class, Felix Anduke Uzama. I don't think I said that right. Kansas State edge rusher. Rashee Rice, SMU receiver. By all accounts, seems to be pretty impressive so far in camp. So 11.5 to me over. This team can win 12. I just think even the games I was going through the schedule, I was like, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. More often than not, that they just seem to find a way. So yeah, they won 14 last year. So basically they can be a little worse than last year and still be fine. I like the over here. Not concerned about it.
Yeah, I think there's over. As long as Mahomes is healthy and Reed's calling the plays, I have no problem with the over.
Yeah. So we're in lockstep there. And all right. Last team. Last AFC team we have not talked about yet. The Vegas Raiders. Last year, 6-11 under Josh McDaniels with the help of Derek Carr. Devontae Adams is hurt. He is back at practice now. Derek Carr, speaking of, gone. He's now a New Orleans Saint. Their number 7.5. They were 6-11 last year. You're telling me they got 2 games better with Jimmy Garoppolo? No, thank you. They traded away Darren Waller. No. Honestly, this is a lock for me. I have the under, and it's a lock.
Lock it up!
However, I'm going to do you one better. Well, not really, because I think this team's going to be terrible. They don't sniff the playoffs. They just don't. You look in their division. Denver, I don't think Denver's going to be great. They're still I think they're better than Vegas. I think Devontae Adams might get traded. They got the Josh Jacobs thing holding over their head. Josh McDaniels is not a very good head coach. Offensive coordinator, sure, great. But you also had Tom Brady, so that's cheating. To win 2 more games than they did last year when I think they got worse. I think quarterback, they are worse now. Defensively, cool, you got Max Crosby. And I don't see how they get to 8 wins. I don't see how they're 2 games better after you lose your star and franchise quarterback for a long time. Maybe the best quarterback in franchise history. Ken Stabler, maybe you can make an argument. Devontae Adams unhappy. Josh Jacobs unhappy. There's question marks all over the place. To win 8 games with that many question marks and that division? No, thank you. Under, lock it in. They're not making the playoffs. Also, lock that in.
It's going to pay me to say it.
Do not say over.
They're under. I'm just messing with you.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna do the old Broncos scenario again. Read my lips. They're dog.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah. And honestly, you could even convince me this is extreme. This is a hot take. Hot take alert. You would convince me that they're the worst team in the AFC this year. And that's with Houston, Indy. But other than that, they're going to be, you could tell me they're in the bottom 3 of AFC teams? Absolutely.
Yeah, you can convince me. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now that they're probably gonna be a top 5 pick. Like
Oh,
in the
yeah.
draft. I mean, so that's probably the top 5 worst team in the league.
My hottest take, that's like, it's kind of in the oven yet. I haven't fully formed why, my reasoning. You could tell me they're the top pick. Honestly, I hate this team so much. Not because I hate the Raiders or anything. I don't like anything about it. 8 wins? Obviously, Vegas knows more than I do. They set these numbers for a reason. But 8 wins for this roster? When Garoppolo, not that I'm rooting for it, I'd hate to see anyone get hurt. He's always hurt. Jared Stidham's their backup. Like, are you winning 8 games with Jared Stidham? When
Hell yeah, they
Garoppolo
are.
eventually gets hurt?
Hell yeah, they are. They're gonna throw Stidham in there and just all he's gonna do is turn, give it to Jacobs. Turn, give it to Jacobs.
Assuming he's there and playing and happy. Like, it's just, I don't 7.5. This was like the Indianapolis number to me. I saw that number, I was like, 7.5. That's absurd to me. So yeah, lock, no question. Under, we're both under here. So let's just quick go over this. So your locks: Denver under 8.5, Pittsburgh under 8.5, and Indianapolis under 6.5. My locks were Cleveland under 8.5, Las Vegas under 7.5, and the Jets under 9.5. So my voice box is shot. We did a lot of talking that hour. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials: Facebook, Instagram, X/Twitter, whatever you're still calling it. You can find us Lockdown Corner or Corner Lockdown, depending on the platform. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get all of our good stuff and alerts for when we're going live. Most of our podcasts we do release in audio form, but we record live beforehand. So if you want the stuff right away, hot off the presses, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page as well. Next week, NFC over-unders. So, look, we're a Packer First podcast. I mean, just look behind me over this way. Like, we're a Packer First podcast. You're going to want to tune in next week. We're going to get into all that juicy stuff. And also probably talk about the second preseason game. We didn't get into that tonight. We don't got that kind of time. Look, life's busy. He's married now. I have a dog. So things are busy, okay? We don't have time to go through all the over-unders. But we will do this again next week with the NFC. And Alec will be back next week. We're very excited for that. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Apple, Spotify, rate and review us. Please, please, please. That is super helpful to get our name out there. And finally, I'm done talking. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. NFC over-unders. As always. Go, Pack, go! Imaging. Loading. Okay, bye.